We are here today with Oriac Live, chatting with celebrity barber, educator, and motivational spokesperson Kenny Duncan. Hi, Kenny.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. You have done so much in your career. Let me just name off a few things. Okay, so first of all, you're an international barber, you're a stylist, photographer, educator, salon owner, working with Grammy Award winning stars like the Lady Gaga and Adele live tours, working with major films, and of course, the NBA Philadelphia 76ers, co-owner of the main attraction Unisex Salon, and the North American Artistic Team Lead at the Andis Company. How do you manage all of that?
Um, well, I don't look at the titles and I don't look at the accolades. I just look at the passion. Honestly, I like to call myself a local barber who does what he loves. And I believe that as long as you're passionate about what you do, you'll never work. And so it'll just be an element of just continually just focusing on becoming a better version of ourselves, myself, and just enjoying the process of, seeing where I may have a weakness, focusing on developing that weakness into a strength, and then continue to relearn that whole process. And you'll hear more about that. But just simply, I'd like to call myself a local barber who loves what he does, and that in itself has been the key to all the different things I've been involved with.
For sure. Well, that's probably your beginning stages and how you got started. Why did you get into the industry to begin with?
So the funny thing is, I never wanted to be a barber. Never wanted to be a barber, honestly speaking. Growing up in a dysfunctional household and poor, it was a circumstance where I didn't get my haircut as often as I would like. And that led to a bunch of bad haircuts when I did have them. And then I didn't have haircuts most of the time. And I remember when I was young, I went to the barber shop for a haircut for picture day. And the barber charged me an additional $2 to groom my mustache. And my mom wasn't prepared to lose that additional $2. So she accused me of stealing. All right. And when that experience took place, she was like, "Hey, listen, you know, if he's going to charge you for your mustache, what I'm going to do is just buy you a trimmer so that you can do your own, so that we don't have to pay any additional money for that one, because that'll be a lot of money over time." But that was one of the best things she could have done, because what I did was I was dissatisfied with my front hairline not being straight. So I would actually redo my front hairline after getting a haircut, and I would do my own facial hair. And there's a book called Outliers, and it talks about how anyone who practices anything for 10,000 hours or more unlocks a level of mastery. So my practice to get 10,000 hours in barbering started at a young age while I was still in grade school, because now I was practicing on myself, doing my own front line and mustache. And then it led to other people seeing what I was capable of doing and not believing that I was doing it until they actually got to experience themselves.
Right. So you kind of became a prodigy barber just by happenstance.
I believe a lot of things are born out of necessity. So there was a necessity for me to groom myself, and then that was a springboard to other people trusting me.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that's definitely that's like life experience, tons of hours when you're doing it yourself and learning by trial and error on yourself. Probably less scary than being on a client. So when did you start doing actual clients?
Um, that was probably within a year. After a year of practicing on myself, um, one of my best friends at the time, his name is Quill Bird. He um, he was one of the young guys that lived next door to me, but he was a part of a community of barbers, young barbers that were cutting hair, and he allowed me to cut his hair down. And just in that experience of me cutting his hair down, it created an opportunity for me to actually continue to grow with experience. So now, me actually doing a full haircut and already practicing in my own outlines, it allowed for opportunity for me to continue to grow and gain additional experience. And more people started seeing that, so within a year, I was able to start practicing. But here's the best thing about it. The best thing about me becoming a barber wasn't or hasn't been um, the actual technical learning the technical side. Learning how to be a better man through building character, going through different character development through the different relations that I've built through being a barber was the best thing. There's a lot of things that I didn't learn within my household. There's a lot of things I didn't learn from my parents because of their limitations were. And it's not necessarily a knock. Everybody has capacities of what they can reach. So my gift of cutting hair allowed for me to connect with a large amount of what I like to call thought leaders. And those thought leaders with their level of success would challenge me in areas in which I lacked. So just because they desire to get a haircut by me gave me access to better conversations, and those better conversations have inspired me, motivated me, and taught me things that I wouldn't have learned just from my immediate environment. And it was necessary for me to um, tap in and lean in on the additional access that I got. Because people, when they come to a barbershop, don't always come just from your neighborhood. They come from other places as well. So I've been blessed with deep relationships through cutting hair. And I think out of all things that I'm most proud of is the relationships I've been able to develop, and less of the accolades, less of who I work for, who I worked with, things like that. One is more so the character, the access to better character through the things that I've learned through the people I've been connected to.
Yeah, I hear you 100% because anyone who's behind the chair really gets to connect with their clients, and they learn and grow through the people they talk to. They learn different things that they didn't know because you're talking to all different kinds of walks of life and all different
Yep,
kinds of age groups. You learn
yep,
their wisdom. And we all know the barbershop is a fun place to be, right?
definitely so, definitely so. Especially uh, we're in a space where you're allowed to be free with language, and that in itself can be a great experience because whether it's things you want to hear or something that you didn't want to hear, you're still going to hear somebody else's perspective in life, and that in itself is one of those beautiful things that you can have.
Yes, absolutely. Now, would you say you have like a signature style? Like, is it like, oh yeah, that's like a Kenny Duncan style right there? Or, I mean, everyone has a different look, of course, but is there something that's your signature?
Great question. I think I've continued to evolve. So different seasons in my life, I would say there have been different styles that I've leaned more towards. Early on, I was known for the artistic way that I would do outlines. A lot of younger barbers today call it the C cup, as far as how the sides will be shaped up and it have the shape of a C. Um, when I first started cutting, a lot of the city, the friends in my city would call it a Kenny's curve, because believe it or not, for some of the younger barbers watching, the way that the outlines are created in the exaggerated shape of a C on the sides, 15 years ago, nobody wanted their haircut like that. But that was something that just a handful of people would actually do, and I became known for that. And it's spreading now. I believe I had to take my hat off to Andis for that one, because there was a group of barbers from the Philadelphia area who were known for the exaggerated C cup that a large amount of people are doing now. But we were at trade shows consistently teaching how we would do these particular ways. So now barbers across the whole United States are seeing the way that they're doing the C cups with enhancements, with color, done in a natural way to still make it look appealing and good. That was stuff that we've been teaching for, myself, I've been teaching at least for 18 and a half years. And the other barbers along with me from the Philadelphia area have been aggressively teaching that. All the guys from Major League Barbers, and there was just a slew of us, and we took that style and brought it to a show, starting off with the Bronner Brothers show in Atlanta. Then we go to the ABS show in Chicago, and IBS show in New York, and IBS show in Vegas, and Premier Orlando. And next thing you know, as we continue to plant these seeds across the United States of teaching other people how to do it, a lot of the leaders of today have stood on the shoulders of the people they learned from, and we see it. So that was my signature style, and it gravitates towards skill sets that will allow them to thrive in their community. And everybody's uh, style will be, determined by that. But most salons and barbershops don't have everybody from across the world coming into them asking for every single style.
Right.
There's usually a style that a salon or barbershop will specialize in because that community asks for that most. That wasn't my story. My story was that has been I've been traveling the world, teaching all over the world, learning different things from the different barbers I've been able to be around, and I wanted to also make sure that I was an asset to the musical tours that I've been a part of, because my experience with working with Lady Gaga, my responsibility was to groom 19 different people, the band and the dancers,
Yes.
and they are individuals who are the best of the best that's been selected from across the world. So I have to be able to be skilled to be able to service a dancer who's from Greece, a drummer who's from Philadelphia, another dancer who's from Chicago, and like different people from different walks of life are requesting different things. And if
Sure.
I don't have the skill set to be able to do so, I'm not going to be a value asset. So I sat and defeated different people who are better than me when it comes to blow dry styling, when it comes to effective shear of a comb, and when it comes to elements of color and elements of styling, product application. Like there's so many different things that I wanted to learn, not just from my own personal experience, but from the best of other people's experiences and throwing that into my bag of tricks. And it's empowered me for uh, every opportunity that I've been able to embark on.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like your bag of tricks is very extensive. How important is your tools in your bag of tricks?
Relying on quality tools and quality products is essential because when I'm under the gun, like I said, when I was working with Lady Gaga group, I did 4 tours with them. My responsibility was to groom the set number of people within 3 to 4 hours. I would show up at an arena wherever we were at. I would fly to that arena every 10 to 14 days, and I had to get everybody show ready during that time. I don't have time to stop and go to the store, pick up anything else. I don't have time for a blow dryer not to work properly. I don't have time for a clipper not to do exactly what I'm asking it to do when I needed to do it, because I have a short time frame to get everybody show ready, and there's a lot of hustle and bustle. I don't have a barber chair. I don't have the greatest light. So I need to have something that I can rely on, and that's quality tools and quality products.
Right. And you're working with Andis as their team leader and educator. Tell us a bit about your role with Andis.
It's evolved over the years. It started back at the Bronner Brothers show in February 2005, when a barber competition to say that I can work with the company for 1 year as a rep. That has allowed me to stand on stage, cut hair, and teach people what I was doing. It has evolved to from just being an educator to being the lead educator to doing store merchandising, and now I'm listed as the artistic team lead, which means that uh, we have a large team of educators within the US, but then my responsibility outside of helping to develop tools with the engineers and to do the different testing, but to also help curate collections of hairstyles that we're going to actually use as tutorial videos and also for the marketing of the brand in different ways. So currently, I'm actually working on a trend collection right now, and the goal is to make sure that I'm creating a haircut series that represents all of what comes into the average barbershop in America. So I can't just have textured hair represented in this collection. I can't just have straight hair to represent this collection. I had to have a myriad of different curl patterns and different styles being depicted in this one collection. And I could only do that when after years of sitting at the feet of many different people from different places. And I'm putting it all together to make this beautiful collection that's going to be something that you're going to enjoy. It's going to be out in January, so you guys are going to enjoy it.
That's great. Where are we going to find that? On the Oriac website or the Andis website?
It'll definitely be on the Andis website. It'll definitely be seen a lot. We have an educational website, educational section within the website. It'll be there, and you'll see some of the marketing materials throughout social media and different magazines as well.
Great. That's fantastic. Now, I did see, I was doing a little research on you, and I saw that you have a collection of clippers from, yeah, from the 20s, even 30s.
Yes, yes. So I've been an avid collector of tools, Andis tools more specifically, and the oldest tool that I have from Andis is the Andis Master from 1923 that still works well. from 1923.
Wow.
Yeah. So at some point, I like to believe that I'll have a museum, and it'll be focusing on the different tools from over the years, and potentially some of the sports memorabilia that I've been collecting over the years as well.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. That would be really fun. Even if it was one of your barbershops that did that. Of course, you'd have to put it in the lock and key because that's a very valuable collection. So you started something called Barbers Who Care.
Yep.
What prompted starting this, and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, what started it was just the desire to give back to the community. I was always told that you can't put something in a closed hand. So if you have an open hand you're willing to give, then more can be put into your hand. So my perspective has been that if I want to grow as a barber, I can't be a selfish barber. So I picked the busiest season of the year, which is back to school, to organize barbers who care, barbers who want to give back. So I leaned on barbers who did well throughout the entire year to say, hey, I know this is the time that we usually make the most money, but during this season, how about let's focus on giving back? Now, I got a lot of pushback. Most barbers I've known have never desired to give out free haircuts during back to school season because that's arguably the season in which barbers make the most. And I started with this initiative over 15 years ago. And when I even did it at my own barbershop, I was the only barber out of 8 barbers that even did it. And I had a long line. So I started to choose neutral locations. It was a friend of mine named Craig Skills that he planted a seed in my head to use sneaker stores as a neutral location in which barbers who cared for the community can meet to
That's
serve the community. So we actually turned a sneaker store into a barbershop for the day.
awesome.
And anybody who came into the store, we gave them free haircuts. That evolved because more barbers from different barbershops wanted to come and help out. And it turned into something big. So it turned into us doing, starting off with about 50 haircuts. And our largest event today, we've done 326 kids, and we've given out over 500 book bags and school supplies. And we've even had different sponsors join us to help offer different things for the community. And it's something that has been ongoing for years now. So we evolved now to it's a bigger event at our local YMCA. And we have upwards of almost 30 barbers coming to donate their time for the community. And with our partners, we end up making a big impact.
That's such a great idea, and I love that in the sneaker shop. I mean, how that just works so well. So, how many years has this been going on for?
I started doing this 15 years ago, but it's actually 13 years on the books of the actual bigger events that started in the sneaker store that end up evolving into the local YMCA. Now, currently, Barbecue Care Division in Philadelphia, what we did was we've adopted a school called Boys Latin. So now we focus on multiple events throughout the year with them, and we've done turkey drives where we've given out Thanksgiving meals and free haircuts. We've done coat drives where we've given out free haircuts and coats. And our last project that we recently did was a large amount of kids my age. And what my story is, how I started with barbering is me looking to get a haircut for a picture day. But not all the time do the kids get allowed to have a fresh haircut for picture day. So Barbecue Care showed up at Boys Latin with a photographer, and we actually did the haircuts and they allowed them to get their pictures, their class pictures done immediately after they've gotten out the chair. So their confidence is high. They know they look good. They feel good. And that was a great start to the day to give them that picture perfect haircut for picture day.
I love it. Picture perfect. It's absolutely what it is. Where can we find information about this? Is it on? Is it
Yeah,
on your
barbecuecare.org and on
Barbecue?
barbecue care. Yeah, yep. Barbecue
Okay.
Care Incorporated on Instagram and barbecuecare.org is where people can find a lot of information about what we've done in the past and what we have coming up in the future.
Okay. Um, because you're a celebrity stylist and you're working with all of these kind of people and different types of people, really, like how important is it for you to stay centered and just keep your cool and like be in a place where you're able to give so much?
Well, there's a large amount of things that I've been able to experience throughout my childhood that help prepare me for a lot of these moments. I like to consider myself a stoic person already because of being exposed to a lot of extreme things when I was young. Some of the things that I'm exposed to now don't even seem like they're tough, where a lot of pressure may be on and I may not feel it as much because when you become accustomed to operating in chaos, when things are mildly calm, it's super easy for you. Where a large amount of individuals who may not have gone through as much, the smallest pebble can actually throw them off
Mhm.
a lot. But I actually, as someone who goes to the airport often, I've learned to appreciate speed bumps. So where somebody else may experience something small that may throw them off, me going over a speed bump, I look at it as God's way of telling me to slow down when necessary in order for me to be better prepared to protect everybody around me and what's best for me. So I'm able to process in my perspective of different challenges that come across. So it doesn't allow me to get thrown off. Now, everybody who's driven a car before, who's driven without knowing that a pothole or speed bump is there, they were driving at a speed that caused them to become frustrated with the experience they had going over that same speed bump because they weren't aware and didn't know. So I believe what we know and what we learn throughout life will help prepare us to anticipate some of these things that are coming so that we can handle those things much easier.
Yeah. It's like a speed bump. You're going to fly over it, or you better brace yourself.
Yeah, if you know it's coming and you're prepared for it, it doesn't bother you. But I become pissed off when I hit that pothole that I didn't know was there.
Yeah. Especially if you have low profile tires. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just the worst.
and
You're
I
like,
actually do. I actually do. I've popped the tire off the
that's
speed
why I
bump.
drive a truck with big fat tires.
Yeah.
You work in various communities. How important is community or your community to you?
Super important. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. I believe in the journey that I like to call the climb journey. And I believe that it needs to have a climb community. And um, more recently, I've been sharing these acronyms for success. And for the personal climb, it's understanding what my capacity is, leaning in on my own strengths, and then investing into my weaknesses, and then marketing and monetizing my newfound strengths after I've invested it, and then bankrolling that money that I've made from marketing that newfound strength and rolling it into my next level of climb. But what's necessary more than anything is my climb community, having people around that can challenge me, having people that I can learn winning ways from, people that can inspire me with atomic habits, people that can help keep my morale high, people that keep that energy high. And that all comes down to the people that's in an environment I like to say is be better friends. Friends are two or more people that's walking in the same direction. If we're not walking in the same directions, then we're just associates that may have a relation because we're crossing paths. But if we're walking in the same direction, then we are friends. And I like to have better friends around me that can help challenge me and keep that environment or that climb community going so that I can continue to attain new heights. And I'm not looking back. I'm not looking back at what I did in the past. I'm looking forward to what I didn't attain. So that helps keep my attitude level, so I'm not arrogant and believing that I'm better than what I am because I'm looking at what I haven't accomplished more so than what I have. And that allows me to keep me excited and keep me energetic about that next step.
Yeah. I think it's really key to have people around you that really respect you and appreciate you and help you grow and let you know that you're doing a great job. I think we all need that.
True, true, true. My position is that we cannot climb without sweat. Sweat is understanding your own strengths, also understanding what your weaknesses are, but understanding how important your environment is because the five senses that we have are the way that we learn. And if we have an environment that's teaching us bad things and that we're picking up with our five senses, that's what's going to determine what's on our mind. And then what's on our mind is going to determine what we end up, saying and doing, and that's going to determine where we are going. And if my goals are here and my daily habits and practices are here, it's going to be a problem because if my environment is keeping my daily practice here, I need to change my environment if that I want to go to my goals here. So I want to make sure that they are in line so that I know that my trajectory of where I'm going is going to be where I say I want to go with ultimately attaining the goals I have. Other than that, saying I have a goal really doesn't mean much because all it is saying I have something I'm going to fail at. But if I want to accomplish it, I have to make sure the environment is conducive to help me do so.
For sure. And by environment, you mean physical environment, but also the people that surround you, because like you said, it's all your senses. So it's like everyone that contributes to your success or that may actually drag you down. How do you identify someone who's going to drag you down? What do? You just kind of cut them off? Like how do you deal with those kind of people?
Well, I think you have to understand you have to have relationships in different ways. And there's four different types of relationships I like to think about. I gotta have my family, gonna have my friends, gonna have my foes, and then my associates. So because I know that there are four different types of relationships, I have different expectations for each of them. Now, usually family members are individuals that are related by blood, and I don't have the highest expectations for family members to be ones that's pushing me for the next thing that I'm trying to accomplish, whether it be in my personal or professional life. But those are individuals who would take their shirt off their back for me in a space when I'm in need. So I'm not looking for, like, for instance, I'm not looking for my dad to be the one that encourages me or is assisting me on learning the next thing when it comes to barbering, or I'm not looking for him to help run my household so that I can be the best, husband, father, etc. Like I'm not looking for help from my dad from that one. But if I'm failing in those things, I know that I can lean on him for support without any expectation of him wanting something in return because he just wants the best for me, but it's not his responsibility to do anything beyond what he did for me when I was a child. Right. So I won't have those high expectations of those things. But when it comes to friends, two or more people that's walking in the same direction, I'm identify based on your actions. Friends are individuals who are looking to support, individuals that are looking for the best in you. There are individuals who are not going to be the ones that are talking bad about you behind your back, but then smiling in your face, because that doesn't help you. That's typically the role of an associate. An associate is one that's going to be, one that's in close proximity to you, but they have their own agenda more than concern for your agenda. People who are friends that see when your slip is hanging, they'll tell you, "Hey, bro, listen, you did this wrong. I think you should do this better." Da da da. Versus publicly telling the world, "Yo, I'm writing this Yelp review to tell you exactly the bad experience I had at Kenny Duncan's barbershop." If you were a friend, you would have pulled me to the side and told me, versus you actually running to the world and telling me because we are associates. You know my name, you know my business through the crossing of paths. So I have different expectations for different people in that regard. So because of me having that process, it prevents me from getting emotional, getting upset. It just teaches me how I should classify the relationship and what I expect from that relationship. The only problem that you'll ever have is when you assume that somebody's actions will qualify them to be a friend, and then you find out later in life they're really an associate or foe. That's usually when it's the most disappointing.
Yeah. Well, it's lessons learned, and then that's life sometimes, right? So,
That's a part of it. We can't protect ourselves from it. That's usually what happens. But I
yeah,
do believe that when you focus on, a friend of mine shared this with me, and I believe this is important. Because you ask, how do you respond when you have these bad relationships? I believe that you have to practice putting your mind on what you're grateful for in all circumstances, because there's always going to be a duality. There's always going to be something bad going on at the same time you have great things going on. But if you put your mind on what is great, it alters your attitude towards the rest of your experiences in life. So if you had one bad experience that may have taken up 2 minutes of your day, it can't ruin the rest of the day, because if you put your mind on what you're grateful for, and it is always something you can be grateful for, it determines which attitude you end up having. And one of my mentors told me that your attitude will determine your altitude. So if I'm positioned for greatness, even in the midst of chaos, I'm always going to continue to win and thrive and climb when others are going to be in this position where as though they're going to be responding with fight or flight that's going to not position them for the greatest next level of success.
Mm, I hear you. I hear you. What has been one of the biggest challenges in your career? Like, is there something that stands out to you the most?
Challenges in a career, I would say that there's a multiplicity of different challenges that I experience, and I would say the culmination of um, preconceived notions that other people will have about me before I even get into the room. That has been a challenge. Lack of resources and lack of information, that has been a challenge. And then when you combine all those things together, there's a lot of pressure that can be put on one person in order for the expectation for them to thrive and achieve the very thing they want to achieve. Um, but the thing that has given me calm and given me a peace is remembering this: what God has for you is for you. So different challenges and different realities can exist, but that doesn't mean that that's what your limitations are going to be. Because if God has opened a door, then there's a reason why you'll be there, and there's a reason why you're going to accomplish something while there. And I've experienced some of the greatest excitements in the midst of some of my greatest challenges, because the reward ended up becoming much sweeter when you know exactly how much you've gone through or fought against in order to accomplish that said thing.
Right. That's great. So one of the things that you do is you're working with the 76ers, the NBA team. Now, is it true you have your own room there? They have their own
Yes.
barber shop?
Yep. I fought some time for. I've been working with the Sixers for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
From different coaches that have been a barber for them, different star players have been a barber for them, different role players, different staff members, etc. But it was this year that they gave me access to a dedicated room, and I built the whole barbershop in that room as a result of what they gave me access to. To give me that much opportunity, I couldn't waste it. I wanted to make sure that I created an environment that was comfortable for everybody who sits in the chair. I want to duplicate the barbershop experience. And at least once a week, I'm there to groom any of the athletes that desire. And at first, it was a direct hire where I would just work for individual players that hire me. But the past 2 years, I've actually officially been hired by the actual team. So I can say that I'm an official Sixers barber paid by the organization. Um, and it's a blessing to be able to have that type of opportunity and access, because it's not awarded to everybody, and it's a blessing to say that I've earned my way to have that access.
Yeah, and especially with professional athletes, I mean, they're such trend makers when it comes to hair. I mean, look what happens with soccer and Beckham and all that. So
Hmm.
you're definitely making some hair trends when it comes to the basketball athletes.
Definitely so. So anybody who's marketed the way that they are going to have a lot of influence on the next generation, the current generation, and the next. So it becomes a big responsibility to know that stuff that I'm doing is influencing millions to determine how they want their hair. The funniest one is when someone doesn't know something that I've created and then comes into the barbershop
Yes, you.
asking for a look that I created. They
Yeah.
found out on Pinterest or they found on social media and they had no clue where it originated. That right there is always the funniest one to happen. And that does happen often.
Yeah, that's a little like claim to fame right there.
Yeah,
um,
it feels good because what I experience is that there's more people who have seen my work than have known my name. And I'm okay with that because I'm not looking for fame. I've always just been looking for great to associate myself with great opportunities, because that's what satisfies me for allowing the taking my passion to be able um, to allow me to take care of the things that I care about most, which is my family. So as long as my family is satisfied with it, that's what I'm looking for. And I've been blessed where I can be a part of those great opportunities. So the icing on the cake is any other accolades that may come along with it, but it's not what I'm looking for.
Well, it's like you said earlier, it's when it's your passion, you don't work a day in your life, right? It's just something
Mhm.
you love and appreciate doing. And you're definitely a people person because you can't be around that much community and people and give back the way you have unless you are. So I think that's a really beautiful thing. Can you tell me what is your formula for success? I mean, you've been at this for a while and you've been revamping yourself. So what is it that you do?
Honestly speaking, what I'm motivated to do is reflect the individuals that I'm allowed to be around. My gift has made room for me in a lot of great men's lives. So the greatness that they possess acts like a mirror to me to show me exactly where I need to grow next because of me not having that either that particular discipline or that particular character trait or that particular drive or motivation or that particular understanding. So me being blessed with the opportunity to be around what I like to call a lot of my mentors that are part of my success cluster, I'm just open to the continual climb, the continue to drive to the next level through the experiences that I've had. So identify what my weaknesses are, identify who can actually help me overcome those weaknesses, ask questions to that very person who's credible at that space, and sit at their feet until that mentor of mine becomes a fan. And when that mentor becomes a fan, that's when I know I've unlocked the ability to share it with the world, that newfound strength that I have, so that I can continue to evolve and continue to thrive in that newfound space with something new that I've acquired. And continually paying attention to who's a thought leader that God has allowed in my circle of influence for me to be influenced by. I'm looking for ways in which I can obtain and grab what's meant for me out of that relationship so that I can continue to evolve and graduate and go to the next level. So that continual journey of sitting at mentors' feet and being honest and being self-aware about what my weaknesses are positions me consistently for the next level of success.
Yeah, like you're saying, I think it's very important to always keep striving. Like you have this thing where you're never there yet, and we are constantly growing, and we're
Mhm.
never there yet. Until the day we die, we're still learning. So I think it's really important that, like you stay humble and you pay attention to what you can learn
Yep.
from your career, from the
Yep.
people around you.
Yeah. I look at it like this. I can't learn how to thrive from people who are focusing on just surviving. So I have to pay attention to who's thriving and who's surviving in my influence so that I can determine whose feet I'm going to be sitting at to learn whatever it is that's caused that person to thrive so that I can thrive as well. Consistently, I'm aspiring to thrive in multiple different areas of my life. And whenever I fail, I know it is because I wasn't intentionally focusing on thriving and accessing mentorship in that area from the people who are thriving in my life.
Right. And you're an educator. Where can we find your education?
There's a large amount of the education I've created for the Andis company on their Instagram. Most recently, I've created some content for American Crew as well. You can find it on their Instagram and on their website. Um, Most of the stuff you'll see throughout those two different brands, their websites, and different beauty and barber magazines as well. I write a lot of write a lot of columns and a lot of educational step by steps on how to create specific haircuts with both the tools and the products so that other people can actually duplicate it. So if you Google Kenny Duncan or Andis, you'll just see a lot of those different places online where those things land.
That's great. And where can we find you on Instagram, Kenny?
K Duncan Grooming.
Kenny Duncan Grooming. Do you have your
No,
own
K Duncan
brand
Grooming.
as
Yep.
well? K Duncan
So,
Grooming.
yep, hey, K Duncan Grooming. So, I have a barbershop called Main Attraction Unisex Salon, and I
Yes.
have a line of combs called the K Duncan Collection Combs that I have in partnership with a brand called Vincent. And those combs you can find in a large amount of stores worldwide and online as well. There's carbon fiber and rubber mixed combs that are heat resistant, static resistant, chemical resistant, and they were stand up to barber side because a large amount of combs get soft when you sit in the barber side, and can hand up to the beading that you're going to put on your tools. I do a lot of clip over comb, so it
Yeah.
was essential that I had a series of white combs with different various tensions of teeth for the different textures and curl patterns of hair that I've been accustomed to working with. So that collection is a representation of the different styles that I've learned over the years. And I believe that these tools will be assets to your clippers and to your styling products to help you achieve great looks.
But like we said, it's all about the tools. You may have the skills, but you need the tools too.
Definitely so. Definitely so.
Well, it's been really fantastic talking to you. You're accomplished and humble and really beautiful person. It was really nice
Thank you
chatting
so
with
much.
you, Kenny.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. My challenge for everybody is to focus on what's missing for you to be great. Because the average time I ask somebody how are they doing, they say good. So I always challenge people to focus on what's missing for you to be great. And then when you find that out, choose to be great on purpose.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Not a problem.